We are planting garlic, and instead of seed like you would typically seed for flowers, we are using the cloves. And so when you peel these guys, you want to leave the skin on. You do not want to buy garlic just from the store and plant it in your garden because you don't know what variety it is, if it's suitable for your zone, or if it's been sprayed or treated with anything. When you've separated your cloves, you want to identify the top and the bottom. The top is pointed and the bottom is flat, and that's where the roots are going to grow out of. Only use your largest cloves and then use the smaller ones in the kitchen fresh. Garlic should be planted 6 inches apart and about 1.5 inches deep. I am planting the garlic pointy top up with the roots below and then covering it up with soil and just a little bit of mulch. We're taking advantage of our ornamental bed by planting the garlic along the bottom edge where we will have easy access for harvesting. Let's talk about some of the different alliums that you can plant. The first is the group of shallots or multiplier onions or potato onions. These are perennials that are generally planted in the fall and then subdivided upon harvest in spring. There are perennial leeks, which are similar to shallots in the sense that you plant them and then subdivide them upon harvest as well. There is elephant garlic, which is like a soft neck and great for southern regions. It is very mild in flavor that you can even eat it raw. The nice thing about elephant garlic is that it might be mild, but you get these huge cloves. They get really, really big. You have hard neck garlics that grow really well in the north. They prefer colder temperatures and they produce scapes, which are the garlic going to flower, going to seed. And you can cook those scapes like sort of green onions. Hardneck garlic also produce fewer cloves, but much harder cloves, and they're easier to peel. Softneck garlics are generally grown in the south in warmer climates, and they will have more cloves. They do not produce the flower stalks or scapes, and they can store well. These are typically the garlics that you see braided and stored really beautifully. When it's time to harvest these garlics and cure them, we'll talk more about that later. There's a few tricks to growing garlic. 1 is the time of year, 2 is the variety suitable for your zone, and then 3 is fertilizing. When the plants are about 6 to 8 inches tall, that's when you want to start fertilizing, and I do that in 2 ways. First thing I do is I top off with just about 1 inch of compost, and then from here on out, I'm going to start fertilizing with a super tea blend that consists of beneficial bacteria and kelp meal, which is a small amount of nitrogen that's going to help make larger bulbs. If you start seeing lighter leaves on the outside, that is a sign of either not enough water or not enough nutrients. Since the new growth looks healthy here, and since it's about time for us to fertilize it anyways, I'm taking it as a sign that it needed the nutrients, and I'm not going to worry about clipping this. It's just going to die back. Next, I'll be mulching these plants and fertilizing them as often as bi-weekly. The maintenance for garlic is so easy that I haven't done anything to get this huge row of tall plants of garlic until now. Now I'm going to be harvesting the scapes. The scapes are the flowers of the garlic, and by harvesting and cutting them, you're going to redirect energy from shooting them out into a flower into creating bigger bulbs. This is a scape, and it's got this irregular shape. Here's another one. They'll tend to kind of curl. And I've got them on all of my hard neck garlics. They will not produce on soft necks, only hard necks. To remove, simply prune at the base of the scape. These are edible and can be cooked up, kind of like little miniature onions. I'll have some more to do, as not all of my garlics have produced them. So I'll have to be coming back and do a little bit more of this. But now my garlic are only weeks away from harvesting. The same thing can be done with onions. Here is an onion flower that I'll prune back. It is time to harvest garlic. Harvesting at the right time is almost just as important as starting your garlic at the right time. You want your plants to be 2/3 yellow, but not all the way yellow. And the reason for this is because if you are even 1 to 3 weeks late and your plants have yellowed all the way, the cloves could separate and not store as well. All right, we're about to pull up our first garlic. You want to use a hand trowel and gently pop it out of the ground. Hold on 1 second, baby. Trying not to damage the bulb.
I saw a Japanese beetle.
You did. Check out the size of our first one. If the rest of them come out like this, I'll be really happy. You also want to time the harvest so that way you're harvesting your garlic bulbs before a large rainfall. You want it to be fairly dry the last couple of weeks. Timing it this way can prevent rot on the back end. It had rained the day before I harvested these, so there was quite a bit of clay soil stuck to the bottom of them, which I shook off gently, but I wasn't going to try to break off because I didn't want to damage the bulbs. This harvest turned out extremely well. I caught them before the bulbs were separating and none of them were soggy. I found this especially impressive considering I was growing it in the first bed I had available when I moved to this property, which was really heavy clay. We have 56 garlics, y'all, and some of them are almost the size of my hand. We have a few smaller ones, and we'll probably use these just to make like a garlic powder, but we have so many of them that are huge. It's amazing. This is hands down the best garlic I've ever grown. You can use this garlic fresh, or you can cure them, which will help them last for months, up to 6 months. And so the next thing we're gonna do is set them up for curing and long-term storage. When you harvest your garlic, you can use it fresh, but if you want it to last long-term and store it for a long-term, even months, you'll need to cure it. Curing means processing your garlic in a space that is dry and warm, hopefully above 80 degrees, for it to harden its skin. That hardened skin is going to help preserve it long term. So when you're harvesting your garlic, typically that's happening in the summertime. It's hot enough outside. You want to cure your garlic somewhere outside that is protected from rain. I'm just underneath my porch, and I have them on this Chase lounge chair, so there's nice airflow. So if you live in a temperate region that's not too humid, you will need to cure your garlic for 2 to 3 weeks. If you are in a humid area, it might take a little bit longer. You'll know when your garlic is ready to store because the roots will be nice and shriveled up. Here is all of my garlic. And this is a soft or a hard neck variety, and so I was unable to braid them. These are super hard. And now what I'm going to be doing is cleaning them up to store in some burlap bags for long-term storage. So all I'm going to do is just clip about 1 inch above the stem, and then if there's any soil at the base, I'm going to clip that out too, but that's not necessary, only if it's like a big clump. I'm going through and cleaning up all of my garlic. All of what was green and is now brown, all of that debris is going to go into my compost pile. So these are all of my garlics. Most of them came out pretty big. And I cut the roots because there was just so much mud stuck to all of them. Now I'm going to put them in these little bags. In their bags, I'm storing them on the shelving unit in my basement that's about 65 degrees. I'm going to want to check on them regularly to make sure that none are getting soft or molding. I am pushing this cart to the dark side of the basement and away from the potatoes because the garlic can produce a gas that can make the potatoes sprout.